Welcome to Boring History, where we dig into the dusty corners of the past so you don't have to. Today's story? How a few soggy letters and some brave horses built the foundation for America's first communication network, the postal routes. Let's rewind to the early 1600s, before stamps, before envelopes, before the phrase going postal even existed. Back then, sending a letter from Boston to New York was less like mailing something, and more like playing a very slow, very expensive game of chance. You wrote your letter, folded it, sealed it with wax, then handed it to whoever was headed in roughly the right direction. A sailor, a merchant, a neighbor's cousin's friend, anyone who might not lose it, burn it, or drop it in the ocean. If your letter arrived, congratulations. You were lucky. If it didn't, well, maybe it's still floating out there somewhere in the Atlantic. By the mid-1600s, colonial governors started realizing that relying on travelers wasn't exactly efficient. So they came up with a new idea: government-appointed post riders. These were men on horseback, carrying messages between major towns, through forests, fields, and very questionable weather. No GPS. No paved roads. Just a saddle, a satchel, and a lot of courage. One of the first systems appeared in Massachusetts around 1657. It connected Boston to nearby towns, basically a local delivery route, colonial style. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Now, you might be thinking, how much did it cost to send a letter? Well, let's just say communication was for the rich. Postage could cost up to a shilling or two, depending on distance, enough to buy a week's worth of bread or candles. So, people got creative. They'd send letters through friends, relatives, and even taverns. Yes, taverns, because who doesn't want to grab a beer and pick up their mail? In some towns, tavern keepers acted as unofficial postmasters, keeping piles of letters behind the bar. It was messy, slow, and disorganized, but at least it worked. By the end of the 1600s, England had had enough of colonial chaos. King William III decided it was time to bring some royal order to the colony's mail system. In 1692, he granted a postal patent to Thomas Neal, giving him exclusive rights to manage mail in America. Sounds official, right? Except Neal never set foot in the colonies. He tried to run the entire system from across the Atlantic. Unsurprisingly, that didn't go so well. Routes were unreliable, letters went missing, and profits, well, there weren't any. So, in 1707, the British Crown took direct control of the postal system. That decision marked the start of a more organized, though still painfully slow, communication network. Under British supervision, the first official intercolonial postal route was created. It linked Boston, New York, and Philadelphia, three bustling centers of trade and politics. For the first time, letters could move between colonies in a semi-regular fashion. It wasn't fast. Boston to Philadelphia took about 2 weeks, but it was reliable. And in the 1700s, that was revolutionary. The post riders who traveled that route were heroes of patience. They rode through mud, snow, and forests, often carrying not just letters, but newspapers, legal papers, and even gossip that would fuel the next revolution. Every letter on that route carried something bigger than ink and paper. It carried connection. Merchants discussed trade. Politicians exchanged news. Families kept hope alive across hundreds of miles. And all of it, every word, every seal, every journey, paved the way for something even greater. A sense of shared identity among the colonies. It might have been boring back then, just mail, after all. But without these early routes, the colonies might never have stayed connected long enough to become a country. And so, by the dawn of the 1700s, America had its first official postal route. A thin line of riders and letters stretching across a wild continent. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress, and soon, a young man named Benjamin Franklin would take that system and turn it into something extraordinary. By the early 1700s, the colonies were buzzing, more people, more towns, and way more letters. But the postal system? Still crawling. Messages got lost, mail delivery was irregular, and some post riders treated schedules like suggestions. If you wanted your letter delivered on time, you basically had to bribe the guy with extra coins or rum. Communication wasn't just inconvenient, it was dangerous. Merchants needed contracts, soldiers needed orders, and politicians needed, well, gossip. Without a dependable postal system, the colonies were like disconnected islands of frustration. In 1707, the British Crown finally took over the colonial postal system from private contractors. The plan: create a unified service, improve delivery times, and, most importantly, make money. Britain established the Queen's Post, with offices in major colonial cities like Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. The routes were fixed, prices were standardized, and the mail officially traveled under royal authority. It sounded great on paper, until you realized that letters still took weeks to get anywhere. Roads were terrible, horses got injured, and sometimes the post office was just a corner of someone's house. To make this royal system work, the Crown appointed postmasters, trusted individuals responsible for handling mail in their towns. Postmasters weren't just mail sorters, they were the backbone of the communication network. They collected letters, organized routes, tracked payments, and sometimes read people's mail. Yes, really. The government could open letters if they suspected treasonous ideas. But these postmasters weren't villains, they were problem solvers. And one of them, a clever young man from Boston, was about to change everything. Benjamin Franklin, printer, inventor, diplomat, philosopher, and believe it or not, one of the greatest postmasters in history. In 1737, Franklin was appointed postmaster of Philadelphia, then the fastest-growing city in the colonies. At that time, the postal service was slow, disorganized, and deeply in debt. Franklin looked at it and said, "We can do better." He mapped efficient routes, improved schedules, and even demanded that post riders keep detailed logs of their journeys. He introduced milestones along roads, early versions of distance markers, so riders could track how far they'd gone. Franklin wasn't just fixing the mail, he was also a printer. He realized something genius: if mail riders carried letters, they could also deliver newspapers. So, he turned post routes into information highways. For the first time, towns received regular news from other colonies, not weeks late, but days late. That was huge. The newspapers he helped circulate spread news of politics, trade, and, eventually, revolution. It's no exaggeration to say that Franklin's postal system helped plant the seeds of American independence. By the 1740s, the postal system under Franklin's watch became the most efficient in the Western world. Routes connected every major colony, from New England down to the Carolinas. Riders carried letters, newspapers, and official notices, linking people, towns, and entire regions in a shared rhythm of communication. Mail wasn't just about words anymore, it was about unity. Colonial America was slowly becoming one voice, one network of ideas. In 1753, Franklin was promoted to joint Postmaster General of all the American colonies, alongside William Hunter. Together, they reorganized everything. They cut costs, introduced reliable routes, and, for the first time, turned the postal service profitable. Mail delivery times were cut nearly in half, and riders worked on strict timetables. Franklin even timed how long it took riders to travel between cities, calculating average speeds to improve efficiency. Yes, America's first postal manager basically invented data analytics on horseback. But as the system improved, it also became more powerful and more dangerous for the British. Letters between colonies weren't just friendly chatter anymore. They were filled with political debate, protest, and plans for independence. The same network Franklin built to connect people was now being used to challenge royal authority. The British government began monitoring the mail closely, suspicious of rebel communication. Ironically, Franklin, a royal postmaster, was helping spread the very ideas that would lead to rebellion. By the mid-1700s, the colonies were more connected than ever before. Physically, intellectually, and politically, thanks to the mail. And soon, that same postal network would become the arteries of revolution. Because when the fight for freedom began, Communication would be the weapon that held it all together. By the 1750s, Benjamin Franklin's postal network had transformed the colonies. Letters traveled faster, newspapers spread ideas wider, and for the first time, people in New England and the Carolinas could actually argue about politics in real time, or, real weeks. But with speed came scrutiny. The British government began to realize something dangerous was happening. The mail wasn't just carrying words, it was carrying revolution. As tensions grew between Britain and the colonies, the postal service turned into a battlefield of information. Royal officials opened letters, intercepted packages, and read private correspondence looking for signs of rebellion. Postmasters were ordered to report suspicious writings, especially those mentioning liberty rights, or, heaven forbid, taxes. People began to lose trust in the royal post. If you mailed a letter criticizing the crown, it might never arrive, or worse, end up in the hands of your enemies. So patriots started looking for a better way to communicate. By the early 1770s, underground mail networks were forming across the colonies. Merchants, riders, and local postmasters created unofficial routes to bypass British surveillance. This wasn't just clever, it was dangerous. If you were caught carrying seditious letters, you could be arrested or worse. These secret couriers used aliases, invisible ink, and even coded phrases. One popular trick was to hide political messages inside newspaper bundles. After all, who would suspect the classifieds? By 1774, the colonies had had enough of British interference. During the First Continental Congress, leaders realized they needed their own independent communication system. One loyal to the cause, not the crown. So, they created the Constitutional Post, a patriot-run mail network designed to link revolutionary leaders and coordinate resistance. Who did they choose to lead it? None other than Benjamin Franklin, the same man who had once managed the royal post. Only now, he worked for liberty instead of a king. The post riders of the 1770s weren't just delivery men, they were heroes on horseback. Riding through dangerous territory, they risked their lives to keep the colonies connected. They delivered letters to generals, newspapers to towns, and morale to soldiers. When war broke out, the postal riders became messengers for liberty itself. Some riders carried secret dispatches between George Washington's camps and the Continental Congress. Their motto wasn't written down, but it might as well have been. Rain, snow, or redcoats, the mail must go through. Revolutions aren't fought only with muskets, they are fought with information. Through Franklin's postal routes, pamphlets and newspapers like Common Sense spread the message of freedom faster than ever before. A single pamphlet could travel hundreds of miles and ignite thousands of minds. Ideas moved faster than armies, and that terrified the British. Every tavern, every church, every town hall became a communication hub. The colonies were buzzing with letters and debates, connected by the invisible threads of Franklin's network. In 1775, just before open war erupted, the Second Continental Congress made a decisive move. They officially created the United States Post Office, the first truly American communication system. And who did they put in charge? Yes, Benjamin Franklin again. Because when it came to mail, the man knew how to deliver. Under his guidance, the new postal system became vital to the American war effort. It carried orders to the front, messages between states, and news from the battlefields. Without it, the colonies might have fallen apart before the war was won. Franklin's postal legacy wasn't just about logistics, it was about ideals. The post connected people who had never met, united colonies that had never trusted each other, and proved that a nation could be built on shared words, not just shared borders. Each letter was a piece of freedom, a reminder that even in war, communication meant hope. By the end of the 1770s, America's postal routes had evolved from royal messengers into revolutionary lifelines. The mail no longer served a king, it served a people. From secret letters to independence declarations, every message carried the same truth. Words are powerful, and sometimes they can start a revolution. The year is 1780. After years of war, chaos, and countless letters carried through rain, mud, and gunfire, the 13 colonies are finally on the brink of victory. The mail routes that once served kings now belong to a new nation, the United States of America. Those dusty trails and handwritten letters had done something extraordinary. They had held a revolution together. In 1775, Benjamin Franklin became the first Postmaster General of the United States. He reorganized routes, hired loyal riders, and expanded service to reach every corner of the new republic. He believed communication wasn't just a convenience, it was the lifeblood of democracy. Franklin's innovations, milestones, schedules, and intercolonial routes became the foundation for what would evolve into the modern postal service. When Franklin died in 1790, the U.S. Postal Service was already delivering thousands of letters each week. And his dream of a connected nation had become reality. After independence, Congress passed the Postal Service Act of 1792. It established the Post Office Department and guaranteed that mail could travel freely, without government censorship. That was radical, a nation where the people's words were protected by law. New post offices sprang up everywhere, in taverns, inns, and frontier towns. If you could build a road, you could get a mailbox. These offices became community centers, where people didn't just pick up letters, but caught up on gossip, politics, and pie recipes. As America grew westward, so did the mail. Post riders gave way to stagecoaches, steamboats, and eventually railroads. Every track and trail traced the outline of a nation still being built. By the 1800s, the U.S. mail reached the frontier, from the Atlantic to the Mississippi. And soon, riders known as the Pony Express would gallop across deserts to deliver letters faster than ever imagined. The story of America's postal routes isn't just about envelopes and stamps. It's about connection, the idea that words can bridge distance, build trust, and hold a country together. In a world before telephones or the internet, the mail was the heartbeat of democracy. Every letter was a promise: you are not alone. We are one nation, still talking to each other. And so, what began as a slow, muddy, and frankly boring series of horse rides became one of the most powerful communication systems in the world. The next time you drop a letter in the mailbox or complain that your package is late, remember, it used to take 2 weeks, a thunderstorm, and a guy on a horse to do the same job. From Boston to Philadelphia, from rebellion to republic, the mail has never just been about paper and ink. It's about the human need to stay connected, no matter how far apart we are. So yes, the postal system might sound boring, but it quietly carried the story of how America found its voice. And that's today's delivery from Boring History. If you enjoyed this journey through the dusty mailbags of the past, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because in the next episode, we're unpacking another thrilling mystery from the archives of history. And trust me, it's anything but boring.